Good morning. What I'd like to do today is continue on our bolt series. I have an interesting bolt today. It's off of a French Berthier, or Berthier, I guess is how the French pronounce it, carbine. It's in the 8 label, which is this round right here, which is pretty good round for a little carbine. This thing only weighs about 6 pounds. It's pretty light. The carbine was actually introduced in 1890, and it was supposed to be for the cavalry. It's small. It's got a little ring on it and stuff. The Lebel rifle and carbine before this had a design where you would have to load rounds into a tube magazine, and the people on the horses had trouble. It was not very easy for them to do, because you had to pull the bolt all the way back and then stick the rounds inside and then close the thing. So they said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a easier way for you to load your rounds. So easier. So what they did was they came up with the Mannlicher magazine, which the Mannlicher magazine is just a follower that goes up through the middle of your clip. Now the clips only came in 3. It's a small gun, so they had only 3, and it went in, it clicked. When you were done shooting the 3, they would fall at the bottom. During World War I, they realized that, number one, they need to have more than just 3 rounds inside their magazine, and they also needed to do something about this large gaping hole that was full of dirt. This is not a cavalry carbine, because in 1892 what they did was they came out with a version for the artillery. This is an artillery one, and one of the ways you can tell is that up here, right there, is a bayonet lug. Bayonet slides over and it hooks onto there. Cavalry didn't have bayonets. Artillery did have bayonets. I did a story on this, and if you want to go back and look at it, that'd be great. It's an interesting rifle. It was actually the second rifle that they had put out that used the smokeless I keep wanting to say smokeless tobacco, but the smokeless powder. The 90 was actually the first one that they, I'm sorry, the Lebel 86 was the first one that they used. So this is like the second one. Now we're going to talk about the bolt. On the bolt, this is the cocking piece. We'll talk about that later. The cocking piece. It's got a bent handle, and it goes in, and it locks. It cocks on release, and it pushes the cocking piece back. One thing that this has that other rifles may not have is it's got a half cock position. This handle right out of this little piece right here, take it and you pull it back, and it's in half cock. It was supposed to be as a safety thing for the rifle. Most people think of a half cock as a safety, but the problem is that it still will allow the firing pin to go forward. Supposedly, with not enough of the force that it'll cause the cartridge to ignite, but I don't know. So what normally happened was the soldiers went around with an empty chamber because they were afraid that they would shoot something that they didn't want to shoot, or something, or to discharge a round when they didn't want to do that. This rifle itself does not have a way to take the bolt out the usual ways of pushing on the sear and having it come out. There's no bolt release like a Mauser has. What it has instead is it has this little screw. This screw is holding the bolt head and the bolt body together, and it's keeping the bolt inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little white table, and we'll take the bolt out and I'll show you what's going on. The white table. Okay, so what we have is, like I said, the rifle itself. Let's see if I can get a good look at this. So what you have to do is you have to release the screw. What you do is you pull the bolt back. You take off the screw, or take it out. The screw. Now, what we've just done is we've made it so that we gotta push it up just a little bit more, back up to here. You can see there's a difference in the way this channel is for the bolt. So what you want to do is you want to put the bolt in that channel, because what you want to do is you're going to rotate the bolt head. And this is not, for me, not that easy. So we're rotating the bolt head. Once we get it rotated, it will release from the you see, it released from the bolt head, and the bolt body released itself. You see this little thing right here? Well, let's take this out. When we put it back in, I'll show you. There's this little thing right here, and what that does is when you rotate the bolt head up, it goes inside this groove, and it holds it secure. Then you screw it in and it holds it. So now the bolt head comes out. I lost my little rubber thing off the edge of the end of the microphone. I'm not sure it's going to make any difference, but we'll see. So here we go. Here's the bolt head. I mean the bolt. You've got your firing pin. Got your area that locks the bolt head on. Sitting up there. Cocking piece. And this is what holds the cocking piece on. To get the cocking piece off and to get the firing pin out, what you have to do is turn it counterclockwise. I know the camera's got it kind of backwards, but it's counterclockwise, and then you uncock it. This is one of those times when you have to push down on the bolt, on the firing pin. Don't like it, but you got to. What to do is, which is much easier said than done. And you push down on this. Oops. Damn shaking. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a little thing, and I'll show it to you here. Parkinson's is something else. So anyway, so now you've got your bolt head. I mean your firing pin is released. So you pull off your cocking piece. The cocking piece has, you can see for the half, because you have your sear sticking up, there's your half cock and your full cock. And yes, you can put it on full cock if you want. It's a hard pull back, but you can get it into the full cock if you want, which I don't know why you would want, but so now we get the firing pin out. My firing pin seems to stick a bit. Oop. There we go. Here's the spring, the firing pin, and there's that little notch on the top that I talked about. And when you put this on, it slides on like that, and it keeps your firing pin in. So there really isn't much to this. You have your lugs, your bolt lugs right there, so that you have your two. You don't have a third one like you do on a Mauser or something like that, but you have the two, and that's the bolt in a nuthead. I mean, bolt in a nuthead. That's the bolt in a nutshell. And now we can put it back together again. So what we're going to do is put the spring. Then we're going to put it inside of the bolt body. Okay. Now, using the wood again, we'll push down. This is the bolt head. This is the cocking piece. We'll push down so that comes out. You can get that little piece to slide on. I'm going to stand up. Before we do this, on the top there where this piece goes in, you can see it's got the things like this. There's a slot in there, so you have to make sure that it's turned and into that slot. And you can turn it after you put it on. That's because I don't normally able to get it first try. So there you go. You get that thing on now. Okay. You've got that thing on. So then what I do is slowly turn it, and it'll go in. Now it's in. Now you got to get your rifle back out again. Put your bolt back in. One of the things you have to make sure is that it's in the cocked position. So it'll go all the way in. You take your bolt head because you're going to turn it this way, you want to make sure that that little nub is off to the right so that it'll turn properly. Just slide it on top of the firing pin. There we go. And now we're going to turn it. Okay. Turn it and shoving that little nub inside that groove that's right there. And you look down inside. And you put your screw back in. I think this would be difficult for a guy out in the field, especially on a horse, but a guy out in the field, if something would have happened to his firing pin and he had to replace it, or there was some other malfunction that he had to take the bolt out. I think that would be difficult to do. I mean, I'm getting better at it the more I do it, but still, when in a combat situation, I imagine it would be difficult. I don't like the Mannlicher system anyway. I think we talked about it before. I mean, if you run out of clips, you run out of bullets, it's really hard to get one in when it's when you're trying to do it on just one at a time. But so during World War One, they decided that they wanted to go with the 5-round clip, which meant that they had to put a thing on the bottom and actually a cover, and they were able to make it so that you could put 5 rounds in, and that's what everybody else was using, was the 5 rounds, except for the British. The British were using the 10 rounds, but and others too, I'm sure, were using more rounds than the 5, but 5 seemed to be the convention. And there we go. The bolt is in, and that's it. Look at the trigger. It's a straight trigger. I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, so that's the Berthier 92 bolt. Like I said, if you want to look at about the gun, you want to learn more about the gun, go on back. I did a video on it, and on this one in particular, and thank you very much. I think what we're going to do next time is I'm going to go to one of the semi-automatic bolts and how that action works with the gas tube, and it should be interesting too. So, all right, well, thank you very much.